Fenrir had his glasses off again. He's trying to put them on again. Poor guy. Effort's laughing at him the whole time. Maybe the whole situation will, you know, lighten the nerves a little bit, ease the nerves a little bit as we do go into this one. So Varus is going to be banned away. Orianna. I don't think we're going to have as crazy of a situation like we had in our first series where all sorts of things were getting through, like the Rumble, the Varus. Probably just more standard bans.
See what the next ban will be here. After Varus and the Jarvan, the Rumble, unlikely to be banned by KT Rolster. So they could ban something else. They can even ban like a Xin if they are really wanting to even out the jungle. They'll ban the Karma. I thought they were in a position to say, if you ban Rumble, then we get the Karma, and otherwise, and then look to maybe trade what they prefer, but ultimately they will leave it to Nongshim to likely ban the Rumble. Cassiopeia being banned is pretty interesting, as that's very much a new trend of being first pickable, and I think BDD is a great Cassiopeia player. The Lucian, however, will go to Fenrir. I mentioned this before, the pick I associate with him, even though so far this season in his Academy squad is 0-2 on the pick. And they also leave over the Ashe and Seraphine. The Ryze will be picked here first by Scout, and then the Ashe will come. I don't think we're going to see a Lucian Seraphine lane, if I had to guess.
No. I feel like if you're Nongshim, the option is maybe you take Melio away, but they might just fight fire with fire, get a good bot lane for themselves, and try to get Ashe Seraphine, as you were talking about.
I think Ashe Seraphine is playable
Or
in the Lucian
not.
lane, but this is a bit of a change-up. A significant change-up, in fact. Bard is available, so I suppose that's what they're thinking about here. Emilio will definitely go over to Effort here. Keeping the lane simple, that's for sure. But again, a lot of power in this 2v2, especially into a non-Ashe Seraphine lane. As they're using this time, I think, to think about what they want to do for the counter pick here for BDD. It might just be a Nivea, but a Nivea Lucian doesn't really spark joy unless you can really hit those walls. Like if you wall constantly perfectly and set up the Lucian in the mid lane to get those picks, it can work, but it's otherwise kind of risky and your damage profile gets weird. I much prefer this, which is just a little bit more firepower. You already don't have great engage because you have a Emilio comp. This fixes that problem. Ah, yes, the Nami Ezreal. It's kind of rising up a little bit.
Yeah. Might just be the choice. It gives you a bit more lane presence compared to something like a Nico, who can do a little bit of damage but doesn't offer a lot of sustain and can sometimes just get collapsed on and die.
There's a lot of power with Nami bubble into Lucian, because when you gank the Lucian lane when he's up there, after he dashes, you can place the bubble really wherever you want. It's unique in that way since it's not like a lined skill shot. If you place it well, you can force a flash, you can get the Lucian knocked up, and then you can follow up with the jungler there. So it's very good into Lucian, not to mention, of course, Nami's synergy with every AD carry and how she empowers them and the sustain that's provided. Wukong, Annie, a classic that Nongshim Red Force do not want to experience. So they will ban the Wukong away.
Yeah. Wukong piloted to great success by Owner in game number 1 of the first series. Definitely feels very strong on this patch. Vi going to be taken away. I wonder if the Lee Sin also gets taken away from Cuz. Any Lee Sin. Tons of pressure. Lee Sin very strong as well on this patch.
We'll see if the final ban here is also towards the jungle here for Nongshim Red Force. So the jungle pool might get thinned out pretty heavily here. Will be the Pantheon, which is great into Ezreal. Point and click stun going to connect if you can line it up before the shift goes off. And is great with Lucian Milio in the 3v3 on the bottom side. So do we ban a strong blind top pick, or we go deeper into the jungle? It's going to be the Gnar. Game 1 drafts fairly predictable here in the LCK. I think the Ezreal Nami was a little bit of a curveball, but otherwise everything here makes sense. Lee Sin, the most flexible jungle pick left available, strong with the Ryze.
Yeah, and you got to deny it as well. I think the second they don't ban it and they ban Panth, you just got to take it away.
So what are we picking here? Obviously, you have the jungle answer, but you will have to blind the top lane. And with the Gnar ban, I thought maybe Perfect was just going to play Renekton. but it will ultimately be the Scion ban. So just looking for a bit of a front to back here with the burst damage of the Annie and the Lucian. And the Scion is great into Ezreal poke because it just takes so long to take him out. And with no Lulu here even, they're just looking for the Nefiri pick. It's great into Ezreal because you can follow him and get on top of him. Also great into Lee Sin.
Yeah, feels pretty strong. Didn't want to just pick like a Xinjiao straight up into the Lee Sin. So I think Nefiri is definitely one of those picks that's still relatively meta. That would work well in this situation.
See what the answer here will be. The Gnar band away. Just gonna play Cassante. I was like, you can go two ways, right? You can match tank, or you can play something like a Renekton. Try to put the pressure on, try to get some early leads up there, and be an additional CC threat. Both of these comps ended up being a little bit weird because on one side, on KT, you have the burst damage of the Lucian with the Annie setup, so it feels really easy to play. Well, the Scion is kind of at odds with it a little bit because it's setting up a front to back that I think most of the time you're not really looking for KT, but it's also in its own isolation good into the Ezreal. Ryze Lee Sin, fairly strong. The Cassante here isn't going to lose lane or anything like that, probably, unless an accident occurs to the Scion, so fairly safe pick. But front to back with the Ezreal can always be a little bit awkward when there's a tank in the front line. But they have the Ryze to shore up some of that extra damage. It's going to take a while. Like the Ezreal 2-item spike doesn't hit as hard into a Scion, but when the Ryze 3-item spike comes through with Actualizer, it gets a little bit more interesting. I don't think this is going to be a one-sided game unless something goes wrong on the 2v2. I think this could be a longer game. I think this could be a back-and-forth game where the gold lead stays relatively low here. Both of these comps are trying to do similar things.
Yeah, very curious to see how this one is going to go. I'm also a big fan of all the Cassante coming back after some of those indirect buffs over and over. He's feeling better and better, so we see a lot of prio there. And also excited for Fenrir. First game here at the LCK. We'll see how he does as we hop onto the Rift for game one. All right, here we go. Game one of match 72. And Lucian is definitely a pick. You know, we saw Peas just like straight up flash on his opponent Lazyfield in game number one, playing Lucian. I feel like it's a pick. You kind of have to play with confidence. If you're sitting back and you're just, you know, poking at them, you like throwing a W and maybe you dash in once, I feel like you're not getting full value out of it. So definitely need to see him step up big time in this first game, which will be on the Lucian.
I think that there's a certain simplicity to playing Lucian Milios specifically, as we're going to see Summoners traded.
Yeah, not respecting the damage out of Ezreal and Nami just yet, especially with the lethal tempo. Effort and Fenrir are going to be pushed out of the lane.
I think when lethal tempo is the rune choice here and the exhaust is available, it's really tough to actually look for those trades. I think I almost got caught off guard by the exhaust. And once the lethal tempo starts stacking, you're just taking damage as you run, as we saw. And it might have even been worth it to flash to, you know, get away from some of that damage. We're only at level 1. Fenrir's going to get a lot of this health back, but guarantees level 2. And a pretty awkward lane state here for Effort and Fenrir, who went for this early Lucian pick in the first place. And this is also the type of play from Diablo that you expect, right? Like, he goes exhaust because he wants to win hard. And Sponge is over here. They want to do something early in the jungle.
Yeah, it's just another episode of Let's Bully the New Guy.
Yes.
This happens all the time at the LCK. And you're playing Lee Sin, so if you're not doing it, it's a mistake. Coming down here, let's see what Sponge can manage. Effort trying to block the Sonic Wave in the front. The barrier comes out. Fenrir flashes in, trying to trade on the Lehens. He will not be able to. First blood already going to go over to Diablo.
Yeah, I think he was likely dead in every situation, but wanted to go for the kill there as the aggro was being juggled, but it's just not enough damage. So he goes down, which is the worst case scenario, because if Everett had died, you're like, okay, well, at least he can get some of this wave. He is getting none of it. And it's a 21-9 CS score here. As Effort, I guess you got him there.
Got him.
I mean, Fenrir is back, so this is actually starting to become a little bit relevant. Fenrir eats that Q, and then Sponge goes in. And there's so much damage is absorbed here by Lehens. And he flashes does not hit that last shot. Diablo also flashes, which arguably not 100% necessary there, but does it just to be safe. 2 and 7 on the Ezreal. A crazy number considering how good he is at this pick. That's actually almost hard to believe.
Yeah, he didn't join Nongshim that recently, but also BNK Fearix were struggling before he left, so
It just feels like
that's part of it.
in all of his Ezreal games, you're like in awe by it. Not all of them, but most of them. And I guess thinking back on it, there were a lot of games we commentated where we were like, yeah, Diablo played really well, but it wasn't enough. As I think people forget, as the narrative has changed with Taeyun beating him, that he was really good even in those losses. People do forget that, or act as if they have. He's been so good all year long. I do think that the strategy employed here with the winning Ezreal lane and the early Lee Sin dive was very good. And now Fenrir is going to find out what it's like to play in the LCK 700 gold down at 4 minutes.
Yeah.
800 gold down at 4 minutes.
Wait for it. 850 gold down.
I mean, we're just going to go down now.
At 4 minutes.
Because he's going to get these minions.
Yes. But for a moment there, it was a very large lead.
Also, plate goes over, so it's actually still close to 850.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any shenanigans?
Yes. Tons of shenanigans up here.
The life of a top laner. I'm glad I abandoned that life long ago.
You know, we had a good run. We had a good run for like the first half of the year, first 5 months or so, right? A lot of cool counter picking. We got Yorick back into the meta. Saw some Aurelia.
I miss Rascal. You know
Aris
what?
top.
Rascal was like, it's a tank meta, I don't care, I'm going to pick Lee Sin and get solo kills. Miss Khan, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to play a tank, or I want to play a tank really well and let my bottom lane get ahead.
I just feel like the second you buff Doran's Helm, it was already so good for this champ. It's like a little bit troll if you're not going to pick him more often.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Cassante is just, in general, really strong, and every top laner has great mastery of him at this point, so I think it's always a safe pick. A little bit awkward in this draft, but it is going to, you know, be a solid brick wall that Diablo and Scout can play through later. Okay.
Denied.
Oh, almost hurt him, sort of.
Yeah, like
The observers haven't
just a little
followed
bit.
this.
I'm not sure why we're watching this all too much. To be honest, I would like to see
I want to see the bottom.
the bottom lane.
Yeah, I want to see Cuz gang.
I want to see the new guy, you know? He's going to get exhausted, but it's all a bait to set up for Cuz, who just goes untargetable there for a moment, and then goes in on a Lehens, who did not have his flash, and was an easy target, and they take him down.
The kill goes over to Fenrir, so exactly what you want with that play here from Cuz. As back to the top lane gameplay, King a nice sidestep.
So, Wolf, Fenrir is like a wolf, right? It's like the name of a wolf.
Yeah, I think so.
What? Like, you should know this, right? Because you're a wolf.
Well, I mean, just because my name is Wolf doesn't mean I know like about.
You know about all the
mythological
wolves,
creatures.
like, yes.
I mean, like,
Yes, I
I am
think
a
you
little bit
do.
more well versed about like Cerberus, but Fenrir. I mean,
Yeah, like, what's the
it's like
lore?
a fire canine type thing, is my understanding.
I thought that was Cerberus.
Cerberus is a multi-headed.
Oh, is that just like the dog from hell or something?
It's like I always thought Cerberus was like the three-headed dog in Harry Potter, basically. Like that's what that's what that dog is based on, is Cerberus. So
Is it not?
I always thought Fenrir was specifically attached to fire, but that might be like a Final Fantasy thing. As we have a bit of a gank here.
Yeah, Sponge on the Lee Sin lands the kick. Fenrir is still going to flash on in and die. Now, effort getting over to BDD, but trying to run away from Arise can be pretty difficult. Going to drop the bear. Will BDD. Here comes Cuz as the bubble, and all of the CC chain does come in. Cuz is looking for the resets as Sponge is trying to deny it, as just cue the music. I mean, this is going pretty wild now as Cuz will pick up the kill, but also BDD did die.
Yeah, I think this is definitely pretty heavily in favor of Nongshim here, as see if Cuz can. At first I was going to say stop these backs, but maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he would prefer not to interact with them, as I don't know if he likes that 1v2. But they won't commit as Fenrir gets back to the lane. And he's 20 CS down. So Dog, no dog, fire, no fire.
Yeah.
He is not going to be that deadly right now. Maybe a little bit long in the tooth, as they say at this moment in time.
What?
You know the saying "long in the tooth."
Who says? I've never heard that before.
You've never heard "long in the tooth"?
Long in nobody says that. I think you just created this right now.
No.
Long in the tooth?
I want out. I want out
That's
of
not a
Fauna's
thing.
wild Fenrir ride, man. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't study my
Long
mythology
in the
before I came to LCK today. And anyway, flash forward here from Cuz wants to get those resets. Tries to outplay Sponge here. Fenrir also flashing and still not finding what he was looking for. A bit of a messy one in this fight. As Fenrir is down his flash for a second time, and it's a dangerous place to be. Yeah, see, it's an idiom. Belong in the tooth. Old when it's being old. But I thought it was based on like dogs' teeth getting long. And you ever seen like a really old dog's tooth that's like very damaged and yellow and very long? Canine's tooth.
He's a little long in the tooth to be wearing a bow tie, don't you think?
What a sentence.
That's a good example. Thank you for that. So we do have an update from Ox, Daniel Ox Harrison. He said, Fenrir is a wolf from Norse mythology, son of Loki. He's massive.
Oh, he's Loki's son?
Yes. He's massive, a literal big
Why
dog.
is he playing? He's betraying his father by playing for KT Rolster instead of playing for Hanjin Breon. I don't think the age is lying.
Wait.
I think Ox is lying. All right, Diablo's pushing through.
It took me a little while to get it just because Roamer's been playing recently.
Yeah, no, I
was
know.
like, oh yeah, Loki is on that team.
Well, you know, maybe Loki had to take some time off because apparently his son is getting ready to play in the LCK.
That's crazy. I didn't know he had a son.
Well, the ages don't line up.
Yeah.
As Exhaust again, and Cuz is here.
Yeah, it's just another bait to try to get in on this one. No flash on Diablo. He is so super giga dead. I don't even think the TP is necessary, but BDD does come down and helps out, I suppose.
Super giga dead.
Yeah. It's kind of like boom boom damage, you know?
Yeah, okay. All right,
If you just say things more, it just like
I think
doubles or triples the effect.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean. Like, you basically mean they had no escape. He wasn't going to get out there no matter what. Like, he's 100% dead. There's, like, no chance for him to survive. Because I think, like, with death, especially in League of Legends, which is literally ones and zeros, it's either you're alive or you're dead. I don't know if you could be, like, more dead than dead. Like, giga dead and dead are the same. But in this case, when he was alive, he was extremely soon to be dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's
soon to be
is kind of what I meant, you know? It's
okay,
like,
just making sure.
He's definitely going to die, you know, as opposed to he's got a chance to escape, which he didn't. He didn't have any chance to escape.
No, he didn't.
So he was super giga dead.
Yeah, he was super giga dead. I see what you mean. Okay, got it. Well, he's, as you said, super giga dead here. I don't know if BDD really needed to do that, but I guess maybe they didn't have vision of Sponge, so he wanted to make sure. He wanted it to be giga omega dead. So he tried for it. We'll lose a little bit of farm as a result, but the gold lead here for Scout is from that kill earlier. Uh-oh.
Oh, BDD, smart to it. I mean, there's actually a decent amount of vision that Cuz got in their own jungle. So he's like, well, they're not that deep, so they could be very close. So good respect from BDD.
Sponge
is
here. He's like, now it's my turn to hide where BDD can't see. BDD has vision on the top side, but Kingan's coming down. He's so aware.
Yeah, BDD in a lot of trouble, but here does come the Scion. BDD dies so quickly. I mean, the damage they have underneath the turret was actually absurd. As Cuz is like, well, I'm no Fenrir. I'm just a small dog here compared to that, and he's going to have to let him die. Meanwhile, Fenrir is going to die in the bot lane, and Diablo and the Hens do collect that kill.
So, so how dead was BDD in that moment? From your,
it was kind of similar. I mean, he didn't have his flash at that moment. I don't believe. I'm pretty sure he didn't.
He also knew. Yeah, he did not. He also knew Kingan was coming down.
This is also super giga dead. I mean,
yeah,
it's a little bit less so because he had a little bit of help. But
this is like the worst part of this is Perfect actually also commits his ult to try to turn this play around. Like he's like, maybe I can figure this out because it seems like Kingan is definitely coming, and then because he was proxying, and then he just dies as well. And then Fenrir is like He can't even get to his turret. So I don't really know what's... Everything is a disaster here. Like, the Nefiri can't bail either lane out, even though she was between them. And because it's the only gold lead on the map, well, powerless in that situation. And KT are looking super giga omega behind.
Yeah.
At 3,500 gold deficit here.
Wow. That sounds very behind.
Yeah.
I mean, for this state of the game, it makes sense if you're already 3,000 gold behind. Also, your Lucian is not doing what it's supposed to do. I feel like Ezreal Nami in general can be a decent response, but I don't think it's supposed to be this one-sided. Meanwhile,
hey!
Fenrir picks up kill number 2.
All right. I was only 1,600 gold behind. A few more of those.
Loki would be proud.
Absolutely. I really think Ox was telling a fib earlier. I just don't think the ages line up. I don't think that could be possible.
Yeah, Loki doesn't seem that long in the tooth.
No,
Yeah.
certainly not. He's quite short in the tooth, actually.
He's got a short tooth, I would say. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so BDD jumps out of the brush. They get a kill to Fenrir. He is getting closer to relevance in this game, but like I said, he's going to need a lot more than that. A few more of those. And this comp can burst people down. Like, it's an Annie-Lucian comp here that has the Nefiri, who can, if you get that first kill, obviously kind of pop off in a team fight. But they're so far behind that it's hard to find those moments where you actually can pop out of a bush. Instead, your jungle's getting taken away because you are pushed in under tower by an Ezreal. Cuz is just not able to farm the jungle right now.
Oh, no.
Oh, no!
Not again. Not like this! No! Oh, he's dead again. Effort as well. Just kind of burns down to the Lee Sin. And, yeah, just like that, I mean, they were kind of the wardens of the mid lane turret. Now they're gone, so the turret is as well.
Yeah. They were all that was left to defend as BDD's also so far behind here that he's like hiding behind his turret, hoping that they're not going to make a pass on the top lane. As Diablo just comes in here and presses his buttons, hits everything. The barrier looks like it's not even real. And then Kingen just also pops out, and Fenrir is dead. But if he was playing more safe there, he'd be even more behind CS. Like, he'd be like 60 CS down right now. A Flame Horizon might be on the cards. So you got to farm where you can. Like, that's the last bastion of hope. Was like, I got a little turret here, maybe I can... No. They said no, and this game is well and truly off the rails. Lehen's a little bit squishy. They're trying to find kills for Fenrir.
Yeah, I feel like he's trying to posture very aggressively, but the issue is that Diablo already does so much damage that it's like, yeah, you do damage as well, but the second you're done with your combo, the Ezreal just chases you down. The stun, very nice here from BDD. Diablo gets quite low, but he is able to get out at least with his flash.
Maybe Fenrir is thinking he dangles himself out like a carrot on a stick. Diablo might overextend, but he does not get to kill a scout.
Yeah, it's kind of been the way it's gone for Fenrir mostly in this game, where they found success. And yeah, Scout's like, no, I'm the raid boss. You guys don't have enough damage. You don't have Tibbers.
He's super giga omega alive.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, that's well said, Wolf.
So you're gonna. Oh no! A tragedy. Yeah, but it doesn't.
But it was a tragedy. Yeah,
it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Sponge didn't fully drive it in.
Yeah.
Do you ever like play F-Zero? You retire like at the last 50 meters of the race.
Yeah.
First place. In F-Zero 64, if you crash your machine before it explodes, you can actually get a speed boost and get across the line there. Maybe that's what Sponge was going for.
Yeah. He crashed the car right in front of the turret. I mean, I don't see how you could interpret it any other way, Wolf.
Yeah. I guess that's what it means. This game is a little bit wonky, guys. We are talking about Fenrir in a fictional sense in terms of mythology, but also in a fictional sense as if he's Loki, the player who's about the same age as him, son. Because he is 2-4 in this game and 2,500 gold behind in his debut game because they had a bit of a issue in the laning phase where they fell behind and Sponge ganked repeatedly. And so It is very difficult for KT to have a competitive game, and if you're just tuning in, Aiming had an emergency health situation, so they had to emergency sub him in. He wasn't ready for this. No one was ready for this, but Diablo, I guess, because he's having a great time. And KT are trying to hold this dragon here, third of the game. Perfect.
Definitely still a... Okay, this is going to go the way of Cuz. That's actually an objective bounty. Kingen is really trying to go in. He's quite tanky, and he's just trying to keep them around, essentially. The culling doesn't do a whole lot as the bubble finally comes in. Perfect has to flash with the Mikhails. And the stun not even really going to do much, and they can't even chew through the K'Sante. They can't even get through the first part of dealing with this team fight. And, okay, here we go, Sponge. He's got the lineup. They're all against the wall, and Sponge locks him down. And Cuz is like, well, maybe I get it. No, you don't. And he doesn't get a kill. Fenrir, no! No! Quadra kill for Diablo, by the way. Just going to finish this one off and kind of put KT out of their misery.
I love how we are like, the game, it's like quadra kill, and then it's like, what? +5 slow resistance. Because it was stolen, by the way, and all of this craziness by Cuz, and they got the bounty, and then the ensuing fight was, run away! Oh my god! That K'Sante is coming towards us. Sponge on the flank here, and the culling is soaked by, what was it, Super Omega Giga Alive Rise Scout Terror. He run orbs behind them. And this makes it very difficult to retreat as the K'Sante is still running towards them, right? And then Sponge is able to hit BDD, and then watch this kick angle. Oh my god! At least Fenrir is able to get out, but that's only temporary.
At least it wasn't a dead body that he kicked. We didn't get to see that.
I've been waiting to see that.
Yeah.
I like how like people are dying alive and we're like, no.
Yeah, go back to the replay, actually. I kind of want to see that kick again.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
Honestly, we don't need to watch the rest.
Nobody died, surprisingly, in this live exchange. It looked like people were going to.
Yeah, Nungsum were pretty deep in the jungle, and KT were like, "You can't do that." And Nungsum were like, "Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to overstay our welcome, at least."
BDD.
All right,
might be able to flash
a lot of damage actually, as he went a little bit too far forward. The Sonic Wave not going to land. There you go. BDD throws everything at Diablo, but he does survive.
A little bit facetious. Okay, hold on.
I think the exhaust was on BDD, right? Got the stun there onto Sponge. And now they're just chasing them down again. Very difficult to get away from this composition, but Perfect's still going to live somehow. So maybe they run at the Baron instead. Yeah,
I think that's likely the situation that we're going to have on our hands, especially with Realm Warp available. They just go straight to it, and Cuz... he has Smite coming online. These health bars are fairly low. This is a little bit risky, but I think they have enough front line.
Oh. Well, you can only dodge so much, you know? I don't blame Cuz. Nice try. But, yeah, that angle of approach.
I'm ready for game 2, Valdez.
Yeah.
There's only so many gurgling noises I can make in this cast here.
Still thinking about Gary dying on the Tom Kench.
Okay. It's done. We'll see what else Fenrir's got up his sleeve. As like I mentioned, this is not his best pick this season. That would be the Ezreal, which is now fearlessly banned, so that's not great. But Yunara, maybe on the cards, Yunara Lulu lane. No Lucian anymore, because he played it in game 1. Maybe he could stabilize there. He had some okay moments, right, mechanically, but it was just the snowball that was rolling. And Lens is a veteran, obviously, of 2v2 lanes, and Diablo feels like he practically is, because he's just so good right now. He was forged in Challengers.
Yeah.
He's ready to just take this game by the horns and finish it off. Except I don't think there are any horns on the KT roster. They're kind of shaved off already.
No Alistair either.
Oh.
So it is what it is. You know, can't always get the horns. Sponge is just mid. It's like, this is where I'm going to push. As they're trying to get everything into Scout, he just goes golden. Diablo pretty low, though, but a lot of CC over the wall. Cuz barely going to survive that. But a nice little angle from KT at least.
Scout just not even really under any threat, despite the attempted pick on him. He's just so tanky, as we've talked about all game long, but at this point, it feels like it's not even a meme. He's just extremely alive, as Scout is going to now help finish off Perfect.
All right, actually going to punish them here. Lehens goes down. The kick doesn't really do anything. BDD going to survive. And now in goes Kingen, as he is quite tanky, but can't take everything up. Sponge now going to get the execute on the Scion as everybody follows up with that. And one Mystic shot is going to take down Fenrir as Diablo puts him in his place. Cuz also gets followed up there very nicely. As the cleanup from Lee Sin, Ezreal, and Rise is always going to be fantastic, especially from this far ahead. Nongshim dominate a game number 1, and it wasn't very close, Wolf.
No, it certainly was not. Again, for Lehens, hard to quantify what it means when he's back, when won a shaky game against BNK yesterday, pulled that one off, beat DNS the series before it, and now is beating a substitute here for KT, but you know what? The consistency is definitely feeling like it's there a little bit more with this bottom 2v2 right now. And Lehens and Diablo were the main characters of this game. Sponge helped propel the lead they set up into such a massive one that Fenrir was just out of the game. We watched the top lane a lot for some reason, but that really wasn't what this game was about until Kingen started jumping through walls and killing BDD in the mid lane, and then getting on top of Fenrir again. It was just a composition that was kind of a dive comp, but it just turned into one when they got a lead, and they just constantly forced. And Fenrir was just not allowed to farm. I don't think he got Flame Horizon technically, but it got a little bit close there at the end. As you can see, Diablo very clearly the highest dealing damage dealer on the Rift here in this first one.
Yeah, he had a fun game. I think straight from the get-go, level 1, they took an aggressive trade that apparently Fenrir and Effort were not aware they could do. And Ezreal Nami, you got to respect that, especially very early on. They did not. They got very far behind, and it was kind of just donezo from there with the follow-up from Nongshim from Sponge. The Lee Sin, once again, looking very strong here in this game number 1, as Nongshim will go up in the series 1-0, and we'll be right back.
이제 상대 좀 다 받아서 이제 끝내자 그냥 바로.
계속 가자 계속 가자.
내가 끝낼 생각해. 나 봐줘 이거 미드 봐줘 미드 봐줘 미드 봐줘. 물린다 나.
내가 봐줄게. 딴 데부터.
타워 깨고 다이브 보자.
타워. 나 애니 배달 되고. 타워 한 대 타워. 애니.
천천히.
타워부터.
싸움 괜찮아 싸움 괜찮아.
볼게. 루시안 노플.
가는 중.
루시안 노플. 애니
나 이거
노플.
탈게 이거 탈게 나.
루시안 노플이야. 루시안 노플.
사이렌 때려야 돼.
루시안 노플. 죽었다.
야 사이언 살짝 괜찮다.
나플이 잡고 끝내자.
나이스.
Well, I mean, it's a good habit to keep your glasses clean,
You
Valdez.
see Perfect working on his glasses. I don't see him cleaning his glasses 8
He's trying to
times
say he's
before the
nervous,
game.
Valdez. I think he might be nervous.
Yes, which
Now-
makes a lot of sense. If he wasn't, that would be weird.
This is a pretty dire situation for KT Rolster after giving all the draft resources to the Lucian pick in game 1 to their rookie Fenrir and then getting blasted in lane. You know, I think these bans make sense, you know? Maybe I don't want to deal with Diablo's Caitlyn push in. You might have to ban Bard as well. In fact, I might have preferred a Bard ban over Caitlyn in general, but we do still have the Rumble situation. The KT are first pick, so they don't have to ban it. They'll ban an Ashe. So taking away these strong pushing lanes, it gives Scout a bit of a smirk. Rumble
Yeah.
probably banned in this final spot.
Perhaps. Unless you want to, you know, roll the dice a little bit, which we've seen some teams, aka T1, do. They are going to ban the Rumble.
I wonder if there's any way to play like a Vi comp here for KT and put the attention away from the bottom lane. They'll pick the Jarvan instead. So Vi is available here potentially for Sponge if he wants to play it. Pantheon's still a big threat. Ryze is fearlessly banned. Cassiopeia is gone. So maybe it's just... Okay, it's a Yunara Lulu angle. That's what I was kind of hoping Effort and Finn were going to play at first. We were talking about that a little bit in game 1. But it is not going to happen because they picked first pick to get Jarvan.
Which is fine, but
There's no Lucian into this anymore.
there's no Ash Seraphine, there's no Corki Nami, there's
Nautilus Misfortune?
Misfortune?
Nautilus Misfortune?
Rich?
Rich
He
played
played
earlier.
earlier.
Yeah, no,
It's not in this
he's
game.
already home, Valdez.
Yeah. Sorry, I would, actually he's probably like doing press interviews and stuff like that.
He might be, actually.
Oh, G-Sun saw that he left. Okay, so we have
Dawn
official
confirmed.
confirmation.
So this was pretty obvious. This is like the only Nautilus lane that's left you can play this into. And honestly, it's kind of the only Nautilus lane, generally speaking, in this meta. Third pick here will be for Sponge. He gets the camera shot. Had a great game in game 1.
Zhao.
Probably the leading Palm attention right now in most people's minds after that performance on the Lee Sin. The Xin will come through. And so now we have our bottom 3v3 all locked up. So we're going to ban some safe top laners, you know? Especially for those on the KT side of things who don't have counter pick because they picked first pick. Maybe a Gnar.
Yeah, Perfect's a big Jace enjoyer. So definitely a good shot there.
A Twisted Fate ban from Scout. Scout has looked really good on this pick, especially with Lehen's rejoining the roster. Kingen making the calls on the top bans. Takes away the Jace first. And we'll see if he's the one who's saying, we're getting counter pick for Scout. I'm going to blind, so I want to be protected. And as the lock comes through, it will be Perfect Zahin. So 2 great perfect target bans here. Zahin a little bit less common when the Cassante and the Scion are already gone, though. Usually that's what you end up picking the Zahin into because you get the free laning phase. So
We've seen some Zahin into like Renekton. I think we saw that recently where it was like, we're not sure about this matchup. It ended up being okay. So maybe that's what he wants to go for.
Azir taken away from Scout did have a really good performance on it yesterday and has been one of the mids who plays Azir more than anyone else. The Renekton does come through after said Zahin ban, so Scout will get to have counter pick here. But now we're going to find out what BDD wants. I think with this draft, like this is a very HLE draft, to be honest. Like it all lines up. You got the Nautilus Misfortune set up with the Jarvan, the Aurora Burst, and the Gnar to come through for the winning matchup. And the response will be a victory here for Scout. And this game is... They trusted Fenrir a little bit in game 1 to be like, all right, let's give him the Lucian pick and let's see what happens. They found out what happened, so this time they're like, all right, we're going to put you on the simple, easy mode comp setup here where you're playing the Misfortune, you follow up, de-engage, position well.
Yeah.
And... you know, they trust that he should be able to get that done, but the main characters here are going to be the mid-jungle. They're going to be the support setting it up. It's going to be perfect trying to win this top lane. It's a good draft here for KT, but we thought that the draft for KT in Game 1 was definitely playable. It's just the individual play we saw in the bottom lane from Fenrir was a little bit off, and they messed up the timings there. Then they got dove by Sponge repeatedly, and it just very quickly became a non-game.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens in this one. Maybe KT could bounce back. I mean, they need to if they want to keep that second place spot. Otherwise, they drop down to third behind T1, who will find themselves at top 2. Crazy.
Yeah. The sign there says, I was waiting just for you, Lehens. There were some signs when he was gone asking, where is Lehens? And, well, he's back. And things have been going decently well, at least so far. As we'll see what happens here as we hop onto the Rift for game number 2 of Nongshim up against KT Rolster. Let's do it. Alrighty, game 2 on the cards. Still a chance of a game number 6 if KT are able to put this game into the win column.
Absolutely.
And I think they've got a better shot this time around. I think MF is definitely a pick where it's like, unless you severely mess up, I don't think there's a lot of lanes you can lose to early on.
Yeah, I mean, especially not a lane like this.
Yeah, like you saw what it was as well.
It's the Nautilus who has the higher burden of execution in this lane. You just follow up on what effort does. They do end up winning the battle over the wave because Fenrir was trying to put damage into Diablo, which he does again here, but it is shielded. And so won't be able to do anything further back here. Effort waiting for level 2 before he wants to make his move, as we're going to see an aggressive path here from Cuz into Sponge's jungle. Level 2 not hit, but they get a great trade onto Diablo.
Yeah, the power of the Nautilus. Just attack once and land that root. And now we got a dredge line to come on in. Trying to aggressively trade, I would expect for Cuz to come down. That barrier doesn't get a whole lot of value, as now we flash on in. And they're going to get the flash and barrier out of Diablo already. And guess who's bot lane?
Here comes Cuz.
There's the hook. It's very close to the turret. And it's onto Lehens, the guy who still has flash. So unfortunately, not really what you were looking for. Also, Cuz is still level 2.
Uh-oh.
And now Sponge is here. No, you can't do that, Grom. Gonna get flashed on and killed. Sponge picks up first blood. And Fenrir also has to flash away. Desperately wants that kill, but now they're overstaying. Effort's gonna be... Okay, that was a interesting slurkle. Fenrir tries to go back in for the kill. And it is a disaster for KT on the bottom side of the map. Somehow Effort gets away, though, I guess.
I think the game is over, Valdez. So much opportunity wasted in such a greedy call. Like, so many things are wrong here right now. Cuz is halfway to 3. This is the moment where it goes wrong. Everything that happened before this was great. And then Cuz is like, well, let's hold our advantage. Just take the advantage you've got. This is such a bizarre season for Cuz, where he's either like the best jungler in the LCK or he is just flipping a coin. And guess what? It landed on Sponge. He was there. He's going in again.
Yeah, Scout does not have his flash, but unfortunately with a nice stun that does come in, or Scout does have his flash. I was thinking about Lehens. Scout does get away, though, without having to use it. And without much of a hitch either.
At least this is not one of those Cuz mid-game or mid-lane ganks where he completely sends it and ends up dying. This was a just more safe and more measured play there. But they are unable to get Scout's flash. And Scout has only played the Victor once this season, to no avail, but again, very strong pick. I don't know if this game right now is looking like it's going to be about him. Like, the misfortune situation in the bottom lane is BDD is also not enjoying his life right now. Sponge doesn't have flash, though. But the situation in this game for KT is like, okay, the misfortune's 250 gold behind, right? It's going to short up some of that right now in this wave for just a moment, but as it crashes, you'll see that number change again. The deficit in experience was there for Cuz, right? He's caught up a little bit there with a little bit of the skirmish we had, but he's very far behind as well. And the game state for Nongshim is like, okay, as long as we get through the mid game here, we've got a Yunara Victor. And it kind of feels like there isn't a mid game for KT anymore because this Yunara is already ahead and the Victor is scaling. So now you have to figure out how to like continue to put the pressure on, but not like run it down, because you no longer have the power you once did, but you need to find leads. So you have to finagle your way back into this game. And we're talking about this 4 minutes in, right? But it is such a tough situation now for KT. And the person you're trying to play through to set up for doing the damage, right? It's simpler. We talked about with the comp. Is still a rookie player. You make it a little bit too jumpy or might miss position at any moment in time where you're already in such a tough spot. Now, measured play like this for Cuz, where you just threaten, can be good, but this is a 3v3. They are aware of it now, and they'll back away.
Yeah. Cuz thankfully going to spot him there with the control ward. taking a long look at the top lane, actually. Perfect did just hit level 6 and a bit of pressure onto Kingen, but at the end of the day, he gets the plate.
Yeah, Kingen gets the plate, and Perfect like loses some farm to chase him, but Kingen's just like, well, I have teleports, so I don't really care. Felt like maybe if Perfect had been able to set up a Mega there might have been an angle. He gets it now. We'll push this back. Maybe he gets a plate in return. CS is going to be back in Kingen's favor once this wave hits. Nongshim are going to grab the first dragon of the game, which will be an Infernal this time around. As there is maybe a late contest from Cuz. Oh no, Perfect.
He's getting pressured a little bit. Here we go. Effort's going to go in. That's a very nice hook on a Lahens. Good setup here from Effort. As now Sponge in a lot of trouble. He's going to go down. 2 kills to KT just like that. As Nongshim maybe just thinking they'd get the Drake for free.
And we need to see exactly how that went down, but I mean, it just simply looked like Cuz was lurking on the edge there. They have Effort go in, and they end up getting the kill over to specifically Fenrir. So he ends up getting a gold lead himself. BD already with the advantage as well after this play. So just really nice setup there. And I don't think this fixes all of the problems for KT by any means, but it's a great step right back in the right direction, especially with the Dragon secure going over as well. And we were watching the top side play, maybe that was going to be the most important part, but I saw on the minimap Cuz was lurking on the left of the Dragon here. I thought he was just going to go for a steal, but instead they actually wrap around. It's a Hex Flash engage here from Effort. And Fenrir gets the kill, and Lahens is just caught completely off guard. Then Sponge here bursts down by BDD, and they cannot get the Dragon in time. So they really just didn't think KT were going to send it there, but with the Hex Flash, was it Hex Flash, right, from Effort?
I'm pretty sure it was. Like, it looked like he was channeling that one up. Now he's looking again. Lahens going to walk that one off, thankfully. I think if he doesn't, he just dies, even with this flash available. So either way, definitely playing with fire. Again, it kind of felt like Nongshim didn't check all the boxes, and they didn't expect a Nautilus to come flying over the wall. You know, they saw with a ward exactly where Cuz was, exactly where Fenrir was, and they were like, oh, we're safe. Okay, we have a little bit of time before they engage. And then all of a sudden, Effort's just right on top of your Lulu, and I think it just kind of caught them off guard.
And, of course, looking at Effort's summoners, he just has his normal flashback now. It threw me off guard for some reason. But, yeah. We did just watch it, and Lahens' back will be temporarily stopped. The fact that BDD gets a lead here is really huge because this comp still needs to be able to win team fights and burst through targets through this mid-game. And having a 120 gold lead over the Yunara feels nice in isolation, but everything has to work together well in order to actually get this comp off the ground. The fact that they have the first dragon is also really helpful because it means that there's potential for them to actually force fights that are uncomfortable for Nongshim to take, whereas Nongshim would otherwise like to just opt out of a lot of these fights if they don't like the setup. Nongshim felt confident in their setup on that previous dragon, which was kind of an incorrect assumption because of the Hex Flash over the wall. But if they don't like the next one, they can just be like, let's scale. Got Yunara Victor. Effort is right here.
Yeah, they're baiting Scout into this one big time. As the depth charge comes in, straight into Fenrir, who's like, oh, hello. I might just enjoy myself a nice little snack of a kill, as Fenrir going to pick that one up. And Nongshim not really showing a lot of respect, definitely going very aggressive, and KT called them on their bluff.
Like, for a second, I thought I was second-guessing myself. Like, when I saw that flash from a Scout, that the Jarvan was, I was like, Jarvan is KT. Jarvan, like, why is he flashing? It's a pretty bizarre location for Scout to try to run away to. I don't think they expected Fenrir to also be heading over to the mid lane, but he was, and so it's a lot of extra damage, but they gifted the kill to him as a result of him heading over there, and now he's got 2 on the board. So KT maintain this gold lead, see if they can turn it into something bigger, as it's still much better for them, much better than it was early on. Boomerang.
Yeah.
That's very funny. We just like walked over there, the camera just like showed it, and doesn't catch it.
Perfect's not having a very fun time up here. As you can see, he's been down like half a level. He's caught up a little bit now, but he's been behind a level a couple times I've seen. Sponge not going to be able to dive here.
Yeah, I see his Cuz, so we'll just leave. Ooh,
oh, that's a really nice hook on a Diablo. Gonna find him right through the minion wave. And now the flash on in, one more auto. Fenrir sees blood in the water. and picks up the kill. Diablo doesn't bother to flash, just goes down.
Sometimes I also see blood in the water. I don't know why, like, for some reason when you said that, I just instantly thought of Air Bud.
Like, all this talk of dogs and wolves and stuff.
There's nothing in the rule that says an Academy player can't emergency sub into this roster. Fenrir is going to flash for this. I was surprised he waited so long to do it, but he actually has the speed up here as well. And the heal comes through, so he secures that final auto to take Diablo out. And now it's 3 kills to Misfortune, and I think at this point, I think I can confidently say KT have enough of a lead to where this mid-game should be playable. And I'm surprised by this, but it has worked so well for them. An effort just barely getting that dredge line angle is enough to turn the tides and turn the fate of this game. There is a flash used on Fenrir, right? An 80 carry down flash is punishable, but at this point, moving into second dragon, I think they're very happy with the exchange. Kingen does have TP advantage if Nongshim wanted to send him down here, but he does not have control of this lane right now, so kind of feels like Cuz and crew are looking for double dragon.
Yeah, might be able to set it up. I mean, at least they're going to posture for it. There is a ward that is teleportable behind them. And we are going to see Sponge go in, just pressure them out. No big fights starting just yet. Kingen did not elect to TP yet either. Scout's going to TP in a mid. So now the hook's going to come down once again. They find Diablo as the Wild Growth comes in, but he just dies anyway. He gets hit by everything, doesn't flash. And Fenrir pretty low. But yeah, that's another big pick as Cuz also going to go in. BDD is on the chase.
He has his ult. I mean, this is really tough to defend. Once that wave hits, Sponge and Lehens are going to have to do some fancy footwork, or they're just going to leave. Effort doesn't have his ult, so I guess they decide it's not worth trying to force this because there's no way to deny Dragon, and if they fail it, not only will they give over some gold, but they'll waste a lot of time, and then Diablo will come back. I like this call. Speaking of time, I mean, TP is in for King, and I mentioned if he wants to contest, he can, and he will.
Yeah, it looks like they've done enough damage to KT just to zone them away from the Dragon.
But Perfect gets the win out of this
yeah.
on the top side. You know, Diablo's rushing up here to try to handle this, but there's a Dragon apiece between them, but Perfect is going to get a lot of money and now has the teleport, he will have the faster teleport coming back over Kingen.
Okay. Walk right by him. See you later, nerd.
Yeah, I guess so. Excuse me, just trying to time in my roll quest.
Yeah.
This fight here, just another hook from Effort. He lines it up. The Wild Growth is just not going to turn the tide. He gets the triple knockup, but he's already taken the brunt of the damage, so just dies afterwards. We won't speak of what we heard.
Yeah. Some noises there. Just feels like, you know, this is the power of Nautilus. If you don't fall behind, you have kill threat and you hit some hooks.
Kingen is that kill they're looking for now.
Yeah, depth charge in 5, so kind of waiting for that. Effort's gonna tank up the turret for now, and now he's just gonna hook away. A little bit of damage, got the flash out of Kingen.
Diablo is getting a lot of value here on the top side of the map at the same time. As Perfect is going to head down here, they're going to reset these lanes, it looks like. BDD doesn't have teleport, so kind of awkward, but will ultimately still be a fine situation here for KT, but it would have been, I think it's kind of slightly net negative for them, but if they got the kill, then fine. They will get first brick here, actually, as I guess this wave wasn't as big as I thought for Diablo. Thought he was going to get that. Well, just barely not. Maybe if Lehens was hitting it, they might have actually won the race. Either way, KT do make it worth it, despite some lost time there, and they kept Kingen off the turret.
Yeah, pretty interesting spot now. I mean, KT do have this lead, and decent amount of their gold is in Fenrir, so I feel like, you know, with him on a relatively easier to play champion in the MF, and this lead, I think he'll be able to utilize it a little bit more. Also, with Effort hitting all the hooks, makes it a bit easier. Went for the big green belt item.
Yes. Protoplasm harness. I usually don't say the full names, but in this case, like since you said it that way, I feel obliged. As Sponge is Xin Zhao, so maybe forced to ult here.
He's just gonna flash away, but I think Lahens won't be quite as lucky as Wild Growth himself. But he doesn't have his flash, so he's just gonna die. Cuz picks that one up, nice TP behind, and now it should be the Rift Heralds.
The thing about Misfortune comps often is if the Misfortune is ahead, that feels nice, but if the rest of your team is behind, you can't really do anything because you're Misfortune. But if everybody's ahead, it just becomes really easy to be set up for success. And he has ult here, so Diablo just cannot even really be near this turret. If Effort hooks him, he's just gonna die. Will be a little bit of extra damage done here to Effort, so Effort's not interested in that right now. As we do have Scout also in potentially a lot of danger. Oh, Gravity Field is well placed.
Yeah, because lands that Cataclysm, probably would have gotten the flash out of Scout, but Scout has Rocket Belt. And that's going to get him out of danger this time around.
So we have a rotating up Sponge. I think Scout wanted to try to bait something there, but Perfect is just going to walk away. I kind of... Like, on one hand, I thought this game was so done early when we had that big skirmish, but I have to give it to KT. They found angles back in this game. They had that great punish, but this is like such an Effort game. Like he is...
Yeah.
It's been a few of our players like Effort, Lens to a lesser extent, but some of our support players have been pulling out his Nautilus, but Effort is so known for his Nautilus, have really made me feel like Nautilus is actually broken. Like, we shouldn't just always be playing range supports. I mean, obviously Nautilus Misfortune is one of the simpler ones, but we've seen it in other comps too, where that engage is so important when you have it, and it almost throws teams off guard because they're so used to the Karmas, the Seraphines, the Lulus, where there isn't a Nautilus hex flashing over the wall. Yeah,
the Namis.
Emilio is not going to hex flash over the wall and lock down your AD carry, you know what I mean? So it's kind of this X factor to it when you're this good at it, like Effort is. It warps the entire game.
Yeah.
He's brought them back into it.
It really has. I mean, that's kind of the way you have to play the Nautilus, as we're even going to get a high-value charge into the Tier 2 and mid. KT really doing a good job of trying to further their lead, you know. Sometimes we even saw like Team DRX take quite a while to win against T1 in game number 2 earlier on today, but KT are like, no, we got to hit like all these timings. We got to make sure we're pushing mid right as the Drake is about to spawn.
Ranking King in here. I don't know if it'll mean anything, but
I think it's a little too late. And yeah, can just ult Diablo as well. They're just going to throw everything into Lahens. Might as well. No Wild Growth usage from him. As Perfect's getting pretty low, though, as everybody's kind of in the AoE of the Renekton and the Victor. As in goes Cuz, looking for the kill on a Sponge. At least we'll be able to help trade one out. Perfect on the run here. Diablo as well on the chase as the slow comes through. As he's got a barrier, but the Slurkle is just a little bit too good, I think, as they're going to throw everything into him and eventually take him down. Meanwhile, down on the bottom side of the map, Perfect thought he was safe, and he was not. BDD might be able to punish at least.
He doesn't have an ult, but I think he has the damage. Okay, this is starting to get a little silly.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I kind of feel like, is it just me? I think it was really close, but I kind of feel like Fenrir could have almost escaped there, but he kind of just was like, oh, I can't get out, and he turned around, and then he died for sure. As the Dragon is secured by KT, so much is spent onto Lahens, which I don't think does them any favors when this flanking Renekton absolutely gets value. We weren't sure. We were like, maybe it's a little bit too slow, a little bit too late. Fenrir's able to flash over the wall here. They take out Sponge. But then here, Diablo uses the trinket so they can make sure he can line up this slow. And Fenrir stops walking. And I kind of feel like if he went up there, maybe it, you know, Diablo still gets him there, but it felt like a little bit strange to just somewhat give up there. Maybe he re-angles the Death Ray if he keeps walking. Either way.
That's what I was expecting.
It looked funny for him to just kind of concede the point.
Yeah. Well, when you get hit by the Slurkle, you just lose all will to live, so that's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, when I hear the word Slurkle, for me, I pretty much feel the same way as well.
Makes sense, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, though. It's a great word. I know how you feel about it, but I'm a big fan.
Arc of Ruin, man. I don't know. Sounds great. It's not really an arc, so it doesn't make sense to me, but, you know, a lot of names don't. KT still maintain a gold lead here, but it's a little bit more fragile. than it was moments before. If they had lost the Dragon, it would have felt a lot worse. The issue is Diablo, right? Like, Diablo's getting big. And yes, he's 800 gold behind, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about him compared to the enemy AD carry. I'm just talking about him on his way to 3 items, where he is going to be a huge threat. If KT spend everything to kill Lulu, and then there's no CC for Diablo, that's where you have the problems. Especially if there's a flanking Renekton. Diablo also might just die.
Okay, just gonna run straight into the Nautilus. He does dash away. So baited, I suppose, but in goes BDD, and eventually does take him out, but that's a trade of 80 carries, which isn't that bad for Nongsum, especially with this big Renekton. Cuz has to back away. BDD still cutting it out, doesn't really have the mana either. That Gnar, kind of pitiful at this point, doesn't really do a whole lot to save him. And that should be the end of Perfect as well on the backside of this fight. So Nongsum actually trading up.
I think that KT, a lot of the fights, the scrappy fights they've been taking recently, they're playing as if they need to force their way back into the game, but actually they were in a pretty good spot as the Victor's going to get caught here.
Right, you're going to throw everything in a scout, but he's just got way too much damage, kind of baiting KT into a wonky fight.
I mean,
yeah.
Like, it's both Scout and now Diablo. They've thrown everything into not gotten the kill, and then they're realizing their comp doesn't really do damage outside the initial salvo. Like, so this is that situation, the initial salvo, right? It's like, oh, Diablo. Oh, no, I'm caught. I definitely don't have a Lulu with me with Wild Growth. And he just kind of gets over the wall here, and then he's like, I do giga damage, and I have an Renekton. He does ultimately die because BDD goes in on him. But now you don't have any way to win this fight anymore. And it's so desperate here from Perfect. He's just trying to peel for the rest of his teammates to get away. He's like, get away from my teammates! Ah! And then he just slowly dies because there's nothing he can do here. And so they just gave over a bunch of gold. And then here, it's the same situation. Like, that's a Rocket Belt Victor. He doesn't even really get that close to dying.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it just feels like, you know, as you've been talking about, like the KT comp is very burst-oriented. They threw all of their burst into one target. It was a good target, but in the extended trade against like a Xin Zhao, a tanky Victor, or a Renekton, like they don't really have that much sustained damage.
That's why, you know, I mentioned before, the problem is if you get to a stable state as Nongsum, it's really easy to win the game, and they earned it back.
Yeah. As we're going back in on an effort this time, the Nautilus with the Aftershock going to help out a little bit in tanking. But eventually, nope, they're just going to let him go. Sponge says, I don't quite have the damage to chase.
Still a huge win right before Dragon here for Nongsum, as Perfect is now on the wrong side of this fight and may just have to sacrifice himself. Maybe he can do the long wraparound here and buy some time for his teammates, but there's no Nautilus ult.
All right, well.
It's working. They're chasing him.
Yeah, I feel like they could have kept Perfect at bay and maybe started up, but maybe they didn't want to get flanked by Mega Gnar. So at the end of the day, they're just like, you know what? Never mind. We're just going to run away now. And Diablo's like, no, I'm going in. Guys, we're going to take the objective.
Still no ult for effort, so I think KT just have to give up this Dragon. Maybe Cuz can look for a funky steal or something like that, but they don't even really have vision here. Flag's going to expire, and he's just going to leave. So I think this is the right call. It's just without the Nautilus ult, that's most of your combo, right? Then you have the Cuz follow-up, and BDD and Fenrir press their ultimates in the bad guy's direction. But if you don't have the combo, then whoever gets dredge-lined, if they even do get dredge-lined, just kind of walks it off, and the burst can't follow through. Dragon gets taken, and now we are headed to a bit of a mid-control here as BDD is looking for Diablo. I don't know about that.
Yeah, just a little bit of Aurora shenanigans. Just saying hello. Lahens has been doing a good job of standing right next to Diablo at all times. He's like, I know what this guy is like. I know what my job is. I will stand next to him at all times.
Yeah, just empower your main carry. And this composition does have Diablo as that main carry. Victor for Scout here, a secondary one, even though he actually has the gold lead right now. The Yunara is the one with the 3 items. The Yunara is the more consistent damage threat. But there are 2 of them, which is why now, even if you do kill one of these targets instantly with your combos, you have to deal with the other one.
Yeah.
And a Xin Zhao and a level 16 Renekton, which is why at this point I really feel like KT's gold lead is pretty fake. It has shrunk as well, but I think that they are no longer in control of this game at all. And if Mountain Dragons start coming through, they already have one, but if they get another one and even the Soul later, that burst potential gets even harder to pull off, as maybe a while before Fender hits level 16. He has IE, and like he can sort of front to back, but he just gets run down if they don't get that initial kill.
Yeah, the beginning of the fight needs to be really decisive for KT. They need to essentially blow up one target without losing too much. As it's going to ult the wave here, it looks like. Sponge trying to just get straight under the turret and nearly died to it, as that last shot nearly takes him out. And now the death charge in on a Diablo who's just left by his lonesome is eventually going to go down. Of course, Perfect does have to flash for it, but very wonky trade. Maybe KT can make something of this, but it's so hard to kill Kingen. Like, they just don't quite have the damage, but I guess when you dive into 4 people, they do. As eventually he does go down.
Weird exchange. I think very fortunately for KT and very unfortunately for Nongshim, the timing at which Nongshim decided to go in was right when Fenrir pulled the trigger to clear the wave. So they actually took way more damage, I think, than they otherwise would have when they went in there. And then they were awkwardly stuck, committed to the engage. This turret is so healthy, by the way, that it's a little bit risky to go in like this. Diablo isn't layering damage into the backline. Sponge is here alone, and then Diablo gets ulted because he's in basically melee range with the Nihilus. It's really easy for Effort to hit the follow-up here. The burst comes through from BDD, and then Kingen is trying to make something of this. Perfect ultimate bait here with the Nihilus so they can eventually take him out. And in live, KT are doing the Baron. Fenrir did his job well here. Flash is here as well when he does get a little bit too close. See if Sponge can do something about this. He does not have Flash. His ult comes up in 5. TP commitment. And KT say we are not sticking the Baron.
Yeah. Definitely a good idea. Especially Sponge is very healthy at the moment. Crescent Guard up could also get over the wall because he's Xin Zhao. But yeah, they just, I think they feel now they're like, okay, we're not in that big of a lead. We can't do crazy things. And our turn isn't really in a good spot. So let's just pull off of this one and maybe go for a bit of reset. Nongshim are like, you know what? We could do the Baron. If they could do the Baron, we can start the Baron. Why not?
Okay, well, Kingen's also on this flank angle. Combo set up for Effort, right? He just needs to pick the right target, and the follow-up needs to be crisp. BD's looking for maybe to go over the wall here.
Yeah.
And they've done so much damage to Kingen.
And Cuz can go in now as Sponge getting super low, and there's the steal. Cuz gets in. They take out the Xin Zhao, and the MF ult is very nice as well, but it is going to get interrupted by the Victor. They take down the Renekton. As Diablo basically on 1 health just has to run away. Flashed on by Effort, taken out, and might just be the clean ace for KT as they take them down on the Baron.
My God, that was a decisive fight, Valdez, from KT, and Cuz and crew are focusing Sponge down. Cuz gets the secure. They burst down the jungler, and the MF ultimate as well. Even doesn't kill everyone. It's not one of those ults where you end up getting a triple. It's interrupted. It prevents any sort of follow-up from Nongshim in the interim, as Perfect also does so much work on the left side of the fight at the same time. But look at how decisive they are. By the way, again, with an 80 carry who has not played with this team, they get the kill on the Sponge with Cuz securing this. And look at this angle here from Fenrir when Diablo wants to go in. He has to back away. He has to leave the fight. And maybe if he's one step closer there, while that Renekton is healing up and trying to hit that Q, maybe Diablo can get a kill there, and maybe this fight looks playable. Even almost looks a little playable there for a second until Effort flashes on him and says absolutely not. KT Rolster turn their 1,000 gold lead that we were saying was fake into an 8,000 gold lead. And this game has been anything but standard. It has been anything but clean, but Nongshim are going to be kicking themselves after that dive in the mid lane attempted by Sponge just gives KT all the momentum, the Baron, and everything that comes with it. Because I think before that moment, Nongshim kind of had the game in their hands.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I mean, the
turn
turn
plays away, and it's AKA.
Yeah, the turn from KT's comp is very good, right? You got a Nautilus, you have an Aurora, Jarvan, Mega Gnar potentially. It's great. I understand them starting the Baron. Nongshim's turn is abysmal. Like, you throw in a Xin Zhao and like try to engage with the Lulu, I guess? I don't know. You hope they dive into you? Well, they did, and they killed your Xin Zhao immediately. I don't know, it just felt a little bit rushed and unnecessary. The call was not one. Now in hindsight, we know that was a good call, at least, as they're going to go in on an Effort, as there is the bullet time. Tons of damage in a Scout. They take out the Lulu, as Cuz might be going down here, though, to the Storm, but they get the flank in onto Diablo, and it looks like we will be going to a game number 6 here once again, Wolf.
I mean,
KT have done it.
they have back-to-back Sixers. You called it out early on today. Thought maybe it was going to be the case. We didn't even know about the substitution at that point, as the last kill will go to Fenrir. 8 to his name, the most on the side of KT Rolster and in the game. As he and Effort, they played the simple MF Nautilus, but they made it look super clean. BDD also very decisive on this Aurora. And KT Rolster get it done with a defensive play on the turret and then go straight to a Baron, warp the fight around them. I think the reason why Nongsha felt like they could do that Baron is because they're like, okay, we've got this big King in Renekton. He's going to be able to prevent them from getting in, and he did his best, but Perfect was just able to push him away. The range advantage there. But the execution of that collapse onto the Xin Zhao Sponge just didn't have a chance, and KT Rolster win what, for my mind, felt so unplayable. I mean, look at the gold graph here. Early on, you want to be way more ahead as KT's composition. They were behind most of the game, sorry, most of the early game, got a little bit ahead, but it wasn't enough. And then we're able to, at that, you can see the point where the turret dive happened. The gold lead explodes.
Yeah. Nongsha might feel a little bit rushed. You know, there were definitely ways for them to win this game, but we didn't quite see it play out that way. As there was a sign out there that it says, it takes a village to raise one Fenrir. And I suppose it's true. Had a much better game here in game number 2. As we have a series on our hands once again, we'll be back after the break.
나궁 있다.
나 그래프
끌면
볼게.
봐줄게.
나 레인 또 그래프 볼게 이거.
나 램 파워 돼. 램 파워.
어그로 나 스킬 없어 스킬 없어.
어그로만 끌어.
오라 스킬 돌면 말죠.
빅토르 디테일 찍었냐? 나 밑에 밀고 있어. 밑에 밀고 있어. 그런가 본데.
우리 정말 봐줘.
뺄게.
아니 나 맞아. 천천히 봐. 앞으로 맞아. 볼만해. 짜오 좀 맞아 아래.
잡아줄게. 짜오 녹아. 맞아.
정면 좋아.
앞에 툭대.
기다려.
아 맞으라 이거. 나 스테려 있어.
미드라인 쓰자.
빅토르 노플.
미드로 와봐.
안쪽. 빅토르 노플이야.
나이스. 하고 미드 가자.
흘렀어.
아 괜찮아.
미드 가자. 갱끝.
앞라인.
전략 있는데 노플이야.
야 탱 좀 해줄게. 라인 넣어줘. 라인
전략
쳐야
있는데
돼.
노플이야.
앞에서 붙어 가면 그냥.
네, 전략 있어 얘들아.
아 감을 테니까 타워.
내가 먼저 할게.
나왔다.
좋은데?
나이스.
Cannot stress this enough. They need this win desperately, and to take out the second place team would be massive. They don't have their AD carry in, and if you flub this, it is going to feel so bad. So much pressure on Pleta. Like, Lehens is obviously not going to feel great about being subbed out, but Pleta probably a little nervous about being subbed in because it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, a lot of eyes on him as well, just given the situation. It's like, oh, he's being subbed in for game 3. Better not mess it up. You know, if he gets subbed in and has a fantastic performance, people would be like, well, I guess, you know, there was a little bit of meaning to this. You know, maybe he's really playing well. If he doesn't play well, it'll be the exact opposite. A lot more questions being thrown at the coaching staff, etc. Always a fun time. We are getting into the draft here for game 3, though.
Yes. Cassiopeia banned for a 3rd time here. Orianna will remain.
OP.
The Rumble also, one more time, banned, so not going to be seeing that one in this series. Lulu is gone, Yunara is gone, Caitlyn stock's way up, and so they're just going to first pick it here for Diablo. Oh, looks quite bored by the situation. It is getting a bit late here. It's a 6-gamer.
Yeah.
as the response here is what I'm most curious about. Bard has been untouched in this series. As it's just going to be a Pantheon here, but with what? I thought maybe we'd see a Vi pick into the Caitlyn, but instead just locking down Cuz's Pantheon. Had a great Pantheon performance against Honda Life Esports. Karma. They took the Caitlyn away from you.
Yeah.
And Bard is available. This doesn't feel that strong to me.
I mean, I suppose they'll just play Jin Karma, but Kate Bard, very strong. TF gonna back it up.
Jin also quite scary to play on stage in this situation for Fenrir. It's similar. I mean, it's similar to the Misfortune in that you're kind of following the play. This is a little different. I had forgotten that the Jarvan's just not in the picture here. Sivir actually works incredibly well with Karma, even though we haven't seen this lane work as well as it has been discussed so many times to do, just because it has great wave clear all throughout the game. He has played one game of Sivir this year. Just one. 1-0 though.
I mean, he looked pretty okay with it. He's like, yeah, give me the Sivir.
That was his first Misfortune game of the year as well. Not played it in Season 16. The Wukong be taken away here from the Twisted Fate. Pretty strong heads up with any sort of setup CC. I think the Vi is probably the next option I'd be most concerned about. They banned the Ahri. Still think Vi very good with this draft here for Nongshim Red Force. Very simple to play, very single target focused. Jace, however, there is, a high priority on range top laners right now in Game 3 of Fearless, just because it's more stable.
Also, final counter pick to KT, so don't want to give a stable blind pick here to Kingen, I suppose.
Yeah, there's no Sion, there's no Cassante. There's no Varus, so the Jax ban is a little surprising. Is it going to be BDD pulling out his pick here, and then we get like maybe perfect getting the Zahin angle at the end or something like that? Feels like where we're headed. The Taliyah feels really good in this draft because you have the Pantheon already, so you have double global. And you have so much speed as well with Karma and Sivir to run around the map. Makes the Zahin pick feel even stronger. Is this going to be the blind Yorick?
Okay.
And then Sponge's jungle pick will be the final choice to come through here.
Kind of the big mainstays already taken away, including a couple of bans. Skarner.
Skarner does kind of... Skarner's combos with Tempered Fate, if timed correctly, can be incredibly strong. See Skarner's win rate. He hasn't seen that many games yet, but it's rising up right now. Is at 70%. This seemed so obvious, right? Because it's perfect. It's one of his best picks. Works incredibly well with Pantheon, Sivir. You just go in, and then the Sivir follows up. But the Sivir can also speed you up so you can get on top of the targets you want to get on top of. There's one true damage threat here for Nongshim Red Force. It's the Caitlyn. A Twisted Fate will do some damage. Obviously, in the right circumstances, Yorick will as well. Even if you hit a multi-man Skarner Impale, it's one Q can AoE through that for Diablo, but he's otherwise just single target AD carry trying to pick people off. I kind of like the draft here of KT much more if they can pilot it well, if the laning phase goes in a stable way. Sivir also great into Bard because she can spell shield the Tempered Fate in the first place as well as his binding. So
or the gold card.
Gold card. I think KT have almost all the answers here. They just need to execute. I'm going to enjoy this Nuggery.
I think BDD has gone off the rails with that one. Boiling the boiling the raccoon a little bit too far. But it does make sense. As BDD back on his Taliyah Pantheon, the combo coming through. for these two. And Nongshim going to pull out a great pick comp and some great side laning, but a lot of pressure on Diablo to do some carrying here in the damage department, as let's jump onto the rift for game number 3. Alrighty. Game number 3 on the cards. Game number 6 of the night. You know, he had such a long streak of 2-0s back to back. So many days in a row.
Almost had a full week of 4 gamers.
Yeah. And then QMDRX won game 1 against HLE.
Which was crazy, but that's what they do.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't have been surprised.
They just win games. And much like T1 like to drop games here and now. You know, QMDRX like to take games then and again. So kind of made sense when the two of them faced off that we were going to get a 3-gamer.
Well, when I saw the news right after the first series that Fenrir was playing, my first thought was, because we've had this kind of ongoing, where are the 6-gamers, where are my friends' eye drops?
Yeah.
Does this make it more or less likely that we have a 6-gamer? And I was kind of leaning towards more, as I favor KT heavily in this matchup, but with a rookie 80 carry in, you never know what's going to happen. And I think that kind of came true, right, with how game 1 went. But game 2, they simplify. Game 3, can they have a great draft, but it's going to be about the execution. And so far in this lane, Blood has been finding his electrocutes pretty well here. If we're just waiting for his next mantra. Ooh, spell shield here for tempo. Will not really work out.
Oh, nice combo here from BDD. Gonna find Scout in an awkward spot. Doesn't quite have kill pressure because, well, he's Talia and he's eventually just gonna walk away. Well, Scout should be okay. But yeah, I also heavily favor KT's comp. I don't think that, you know, essentially one threat compositions are really a thing unless you're gonna run like a Kog'Maw. I know that Caitlyn late games have been insane nowadays. We just saw a great example of it with Pays against Gen G in a 50-plus minute game where he essentially, you know, he was 6-7 item, 80 carry, and really popped off. We are gonna have a gank up here on the top side. Perfect, trying to get to his passive, just gonna flash away and let Cuz handle it from here. I think Kingen has also kind of accepted his fate. Still gonna try and fight him, and a lot of ghouls are coming out here. It's a cue to miss, and Kingen's like, oh, maybe I can make something of this. That's not gonna hit as well. A lot of things are just straight up missing, but the knockup comes in, and first blood is given over to Cuz.
Really easy for Cuz to get that empowered Q there to finish as well. Pantheon's so strong in the early game, especially when he could proc his maximum range, or maximum charged abilities multiple times in the fight. It's often about his burst damage with just one of them, but in the 2v1 where he could do it multiple times, feels much better. As we do see the call to come through here for Fenrir. Same for Diablo, who actually has boots advantage. Here, coming into the lane. The later back timing. BDD got that early shove, but wasn't able to turn it into a tangible advantage here. And naturally, Twisted Fate will get more money with his passive. But it hasn't happened really just yet. And I think for KT Rolster, just like game number 1, the main thing is just don't fall too far behind. And in game 2, it was like, make sure you're ahead the whole time. And that didn't happen, but they were able to wrestle it back.
Yeah. It just feels like some of the rules are being broken in a series that is this wonky. You got the subbed in kind of newbie 80 carry, totally new to the LCK. Even totally new to challengers this year. As you mentioned, he played in Kespa Cup, but that was like online tournament when he was playing, and just doesn't have a whole lot of stage experience compared to some of the other guys on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, I want to remind people that like back in basically post-franchising and with the challengers system that was updated, you weren't allowed to sub challengers players in unless they were part of the official roster for so long. You had to submit them. You had to wait till round 2 in the old LCK system. Now you could do it any time. And it's only very recently that teams have been willing to actually play these musical chairs sub games. As BDD does not have ult, but he is up here with his passive, can surf around Kingen, who has no flash.
Yeah, he's going to miss the shove, but Perfect is on top of Kingen, and that Ghouliewall doing a lot of work against the Talia, but eventually Kingen gets pulled back by the Zahen. And they're going to just give the kill over to BDD.
Cuz is going to defend mid. Now, Sponge is getting this dragon, but Scout shouldn't be able to get too much in the mid lane. Actually, doesn't even get that plate. Maybe eventually gets it. Oh! I think he got it.
We're seeing this bottom lane very stable. Diablo a slight lead.
Ooh, he lost his flash. BD got his ult. He hit level 6. And
But did he get the plate? Yes, he did.
But
That's really all that matters, Wolf.
okay, gotcha. I was kind of thinking about like the value of Twisted Fate's flash gold card potential, but you put me in my place, you know? It's the plate value. That's where it's really at.
Yeah, even if he died.
By the way,
matter.
you know, 0-0-0, gold lead because of the plate.
Yep.
And the TF passive, but
There you
because of the plate.
Because of the plate. That's really all that matters. Scout
Speaking
knows where his bread is buttered.
Yeah, speaking of gold leads, this Caitlyn lane is kind of pushing. And they did. That's the one part of this draft that can have problems is the early laning phase because, yes, they got the Karma and the Sivir, but there's a Bard lane here. And their jungler has been topside for a lot of this game. And it's also pretty heavily out-farmed by Sponge in this one since he's been spending so much time going for these ganks.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty good idea, especially with how successful that early gank was from Cuz, just to revisit and try to get Perfect into a really good spot. And also just your entire top side of the map into a really good spot, because even if Fenrir falls behind, you know, he's still an 80 carry player. He's playing Sivir. If this goes late, I'm sure he can auto-attack some dudes. You know? Like, just try not to die.
Did you just
Hit the Skarner.
Did you just basically say that's what 80 carries do, you know, like?
I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the basic function, right? And even if he's nervous, even if he's, like, not playing his best game, even if he falls behind, I would expect him to at least be able to do, you know, late game Sivir things. That's all I'm saying.
I know, I just wanted to try to make it seem like you were slandering how simple it is to be an 80 carry. Sivir,
Wow.
in particular, is quite, that was very funny. Is in particular quite easy to kind of scale and ricochet. BDD.
This is a very aggressive play on a BDD, but should be able to make this work, you would imagine. He already flashed, and there he gets knocked to the wall. Scout, though, gets a turret shot and dies. Not even sure why he walked into range of that, but maybe he had to dodge something. Here comes effort. And, yeah, they are on the hunt. Nice little magical journey. A Sponge going to flash into that one.
That's actually going to cost them some money on the bottom lane, committing that far to try to get the follow-up there. BD waits till the last possible second to flash here and buffers the card, but Sponge is ready. Like, you can see the Sponge already expected the flash angle and already had his Impale angled. But Scout...
He got knocked in to the turret, actually. I missed that. So that makes a lot more sense than him just walking at the turret.
I don't think he planned on walking in. Just got a little bit knocked in, like you said. And that's kind of problematic, but the kill goes over to the Pantheon. So Cuz is still going to be a menace in this early game. And Diablo got a plate while Fenrir and Effort tried to come up and punish further. Magical Journey got them away, but it was totally fine. Perfect shouldn't be allowed to play Zion. I think teams should be not banning his Jace if this is how it's going to look. The Yorick was blind also, which I think is fine into Zion. Like, it's not like the Zion is the counter to the Yorick, but Perfect just got his hands on what he wanted, which was already so perfect for this comp. There is no Sivir ult here. Pleta is aware of that. So he should be able to get away just fine. Needs to get some minions. Like more than 72 of them.
Yeah, they're trying to set something up here. The wall comes down. Pleta kind of in an awkward spot, but he's just able to flash away. BDD is kind of tanking everything. The double impale comes in. They immediately get punished. As now we have a interesting magical journey. Not really going to help out all too much as Fenrir's going to pick up a kill, and we have a TP now coming in as the TF will join up in this one effort, trying to take out Diablo. Might be able to, needs one more auto or one more Q, but he's not able to, and he also had the barrier, so not going to happen. As Fenrir and Cuz should be able to walk out alive.
Yeah, it almost feels like Sponge could have been killed there, but Cuz doesn't have flash, so can't get on top of him to set up the empowered stun or anything like that, and it is just going to be a retreat here. I'm not entirely sure like, we look at this setup, initially it looks like, aha, we've got the jump on them. They won't know. And then Pleta just kind of walks it off, flashes away. Cuz's ult angle here isn't onto the prio target. The prio target is Diablo. And Diablo is untouched. And he is Caitlyn, so guess what? He's actually able to do a lot of damage over the wall as an AD carry here. And then Diablo also lives because he's able to flash late here in the fight. And when Effort tries to go for it, he has barriers, so it looks really sad. He was going to die no matter what, so
Yeah.
Scout was going to kill him otherwise.
Uh-oh. This time, though, no sums here on Diablo, playing a little bit over-aggressive. Going to get stunned and kind of hounded by everybody on the side of KT. Everybody except Perfect, of course. Pleta takes a huge amount of damage as well. But yeah, kind of awkward positioning for Diablo, and that's just going to be the Drake over to KT.
Yeah, Pleta's ult there just wasn't really going to do him any favors because it made sure that BDD was going to get the follow-up shove. And it should be one dragon apiece. And Scout, nothing he can do about this. Pleta's going to magical journey his way down as fast as possible. Fenrir's getting plates in the mid lane. I've commentated so many Nongshim games recently, and win or lose, the game state is always wild. Like, there's some moments for Nongshim where you feel like they're super calculated, they're playing through Scout's TF, and everything is globally connected. And other times, just people get caught, and it looks like there wasn't a plan, or the communication was poor on where the enemies are, and you just come out of a replay, and suddenly it's like, oh, well, Diablo's dead. Weird how that's all going down.
Yeah.
And KT were super far behind in some respects earlier on in the game, and the AD carry advantage for Diablo was so huge, and now it's only 200 gold here. Perfect, by the way, just silently stacking money.
Yeah, he's doing his job. Just sit top lane and essentially use the lead that he has to get even more fed. He's going to be a mid-game powerhouse. He and, you know, the Pantheon, I suppose. Fenrir's taking a lot of damage, but a red card comes in, and Scout's like, uh-oh, my team left me. Where did everybody go? I thought we were diving 2 turrets. And they were until they weren't. And Scout kind of left there to hold the bag.
Yeah, that was very forced. Like, both teams have globals, but KT have 2 globals. Oh. So I guess I should say both teams have at least a global.
Yeah.
Pleta.
Magical Journey not going to do him any favors as he will go down.
What is happening, Valdez?
Well, they're caught. Diablo still doesn't have flash, so I'm sure he's going to be asking himself that same question. And yeah, Perfect comes on down from top lane.
This
seemed like a very natural time for him to show up.
This is like what happened in game 2, except like a little bit early, where Nongshim just keep going to KT's side of the map very deeply. And KT very deeply wants them to do that so they can actually get back in the game and force these fights with all the CC they have. So starting with this one, like, we're deep on Krugs. Look who's in the mid lane. BDD has Weaver's Wall, and Cuz, who's a Pantheon, and Scout is between turrets, and the rest of the team is like, oh, guess that's probably not a thing. And then over here, we're just like, they're like, well, we got to keep forcing and take everything we can on the map. And I understand the theory. I understand the fear. Because the comp of KT is so good in the late game. We've already discussed all the reasons why, so they feel like they have to force, but it's constantly way too far forward. A Zahin walking out of the jungle is probably something that shouldn't be happening.
Pleta's caught here once again. Not sure how he managed this. I mean, there's a lot of vision set up around here for KT. And there's not even a Drake about to spawn, so I feel like just kind of a straight-up mistake. We'll have to wait and see. I don't even know if we're going to be able to jump into a replay with how many things are going on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I gotta live in the present a little bit here. Sponge is not that tanky, given some time here for Fenrir, but does have a smite button. Kind of feel like right now for Nongshim, as painful as it is, you probably gotta look for pinch plays only.
They're going to try to go for BDD. A lot of KT is here, though. The Impale only going to hit the Pantheon. They don't have the damage to get through them because Diablo's the only source of damage. And now he's kind of isolated up on the top side here. Rest of Nongshim trying to get away. Perfect is level 12, and he is ready to throw down. Sponge going to get through the wall, but TF and Bard can't quite do that. TP is going to come in. Grim Deliverance going to take out the Bard here once again. Fenrir looks like he got pretty low on the left side there. Not sure exactly what happened, but
TP kinging in.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing about this fight for Nongshim was maybe we get a pick, otherwise we buy some time and our Yorick gets bounty gold on the top side. But I guess they had other ideas, because there's a massive wave that's going to go into that turret on the top side, but it's not going to be giving plates or bounties over to the side of Nongshim. They're all here. Look at the map. I think this is desperate shot calling here from Nongshim. And I'll tell you my opinion, because I don't know what's going on internally in this roster, but I feel like when Lehens is in this roster, sometimes they send it a little bit too deep, but it feels like the overall messaging for their dives and for their map movements is a little more clear than what I'm seeing in this game here. Is Pleta 1 and 4. Scout is caught.
Yeah, at least Sponge is going to come over here and try to peel a little bit. Mikhail's just come down. They're going to find BDD into the Impale as well. They do get a shutdown there, as this time it's KT's turn to send it a little bit too far, as here goes Pleta on the chase. Fenrir here trying to play, but he gets flashed on and killed. Not like this, Fenrir. And so now the ult comes in, but he will survive. But yeah, KT, what are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know what is going on.
Please analyze.
Well, we've been every time we come out of a replay, all the critical information has been missed, so I don't know. But we'll see exactly why they were this far up. Okay, so they were trying to ult Scout. BDD doesn't have ult though, so he can't get here fast enough. Sponge and Pleta come over, and there's so much time buy in this Skarner and this Bard. BDD gets caught, and now they're not winning the numbers game the way they were. Really easy to follow up with Skarner, like we mentioned on the Twisted or on the Tempered Fate. And with a single target like that, and you have the answers there. Fenrir, I think, should have left long ago. I think when he should have been like, "I'm sorry, Effort. I know you're my new best friend. We're lane partners today, but I'm gonna have to let you die." But instead, he dies. Effort miraculously survives, but okay. So when the dust settles, Diablo is kind of getting out of the trough. He has his IE. He has 1,200 gold ahead. The BDD lead has shrunk massively, and it's really only Perfect who has the big lead here for KT. I still think functionally this comp is really good for KT. Really easy to play in the late game. But from what I saw on that top side play, maybe a little bit more finesse is required. When it comes to straight up 5v5s on objectives, that's where it gets a little bit simpler. But when it's a Chemtech Soul and we're one Drake apiece, it can get a little murky as to whether or not you want to fight for those or whether you're going to be setting up for those. Empowered recall here for Sponge, who does have Herald but doesn't necessarily want to use it.
I don't know, it's just like amongst all the action, stuff like that happens. It's just such a silly game so far. Trying to back in front of the Gromp, who's just like, no, what? This is my turf. Gromp is very protective of his area.
Yeah.
I still feel like KT should be okay.
I think so, but like I feel like I don't know anything, right? After watching this game.
That's why when I was like, analyze Wolf, it's a joke because I really just don't envy your position. Because there's nothing really to break down. It's just chaos.
Everything about the reason why we think KT are in a good spot, we mentioned in the draft. And I thought that if we were at 18 minutes and they only had 1,000 gold at the lead, they'd be in a better spot. I thought if they were 1,000 gold at the deficit here, that wouldn't be enough of a lead for Nongshim, but I'm not sure anymore, as Perfect is probably going to get Tempered Fated here. TP is going to come over. He might have to flash it.
Nice. He's been dodging quite a lot. I mean, he's not quite able to build up this passive, just trying to dash out of this one. He's going to go Grim into the sky. And he does get away.
But it doesn't even commit the Tempered Fate there. Perfect doesn't have to flash, but he does lose his ult. Thing is, there's no objective, so with his teleport available, I don't think he really cares that much. In fact, he's going to look for a flanker to try to punish Scout and Diablo. The Herald will charge, but will they be able to get out safely is the question. Cuz has his ult as well, and here comes BDD.
Just going to be looking for Diablo here, trying to get him out, but the flash, the knock pulls him back. Effort. Oh, Perfect. He gets the assassination, and that's going to be the end of Sponge 2 here in the mid lane.
The denial of the magical journey coming through. Perfect saved his flash. And now Cuz is going to try to catch King here. Perfect's going to be mid lane. He's going to be bot lane.
He's got to get over to Perfect as the Glop is going to hit him, and King takes him down, but keeps him in position for long enough for Perfect to finish the good job, I suppose. As now this Zahin is gigantic. 2,000 gold ahead.
Already was pretty ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is starting to really hit in these team fights. This Ravenous Hydra. So, I don't even want to blame Nongshim for this because it's a flank ward that was set up way earlier on that Perfect is able to get on. And then Diablo thought he's safe because he's got a bard, they got Magical Journey, and Sponge is just left out to dry. None of this is his fault, really. This is a really good punish here from KT. This, you know, little bit, I think he was hoping that maybe they could save the turret there, but if he just waits until Perfect is closer, they get the kill and he doesn't die. Look at the flash out of Kingen as well, so still feels like a win, but they couldn't deny the turret and Cuz did die, somewhat unnecessarily. And the Dragon timer is still 2 minutes. Whew.
Assassin Talia. Just get a rocket belt and you can be an assassin on anything, I guess.
Remember Gale Force?
Yeah. What if that was still around and we just had
man.
like people building both? It's like, no, I just have 2 dashes. You can't catch me. It is a Chemtech Soul, by the way. I don't know if you really touched on this.
No, yeah, just briefly. It's not that important, which is why it's more action sides a lot of the time, but it's not up for 90 seconds anyways, as Pleta. Whew.
We can always just K-Ram, you know? Just sit in mid lane and see what happens.
Well, I think if you're KT, you absolutely can, because you have so much power in this comp right now with the Sivir wave clear. The waves just disappear, and you take this turret out. Like, you win the K-Ram, especially when the Yorick is in the side lane. That's a 5v4 you'll take every day. I mean, also Scout trying to get some value here on the top side of the map. Maybe, given enough space here, you can get this turret, but it's just too risky with Pantheon and Talia on the other side. So the double globals have been winning out on the map here for KT, but it's been punished plays from both teams that have really been the main story here. Speaking of, maybe Sponge could set something up here. The turret is taken out, and BDD is just going to leave, of course. So Baron is the thing that I think we were most concerned about. Chemtech Dragon, pretty good for Zahin, by the way, but otherwise not necessarily the most important thing on the map. As BDD is still the focus here, as Nongshim are grouped on Baron but can't do it. Like, there's just no way they can start this up. Once Perfect gets TP, he can join if they wanted to. There's a small window of time before he has it, but I think that window is too small to try to set something up. They are clearing the vision, but I think that's the most they can really get at this point in time. This game is tense because it does feel like even though KT have such control over how team fights can go 5v5, a lot of this game has not been about that. It's been about these scrappy catches of Diablo by Perfect on the flank, or overextensions from Finra, or, you know, the Pantheon combo isn't working out. Very bizarre, but Diablo is very strong in this game as well. And KT are just going to get this dragon. They have that ward on the Baron, so they know it's not being taken, and Perfect does have his TP back. So they can very easily do this. Nongshim are just, unfortunately, finding themselves sitting ducks here. They can't dive BDD, and they can't start Baron, so they just end up losing the objective here. Not the end of the world, but definitely not a benefit.
Yeah. No, it doesn't feel good to lose a Drake, for sure. And, yeah, I mean, they're just kind of hanging around. You know, in theory, if the Yorick had a better matchup, you'd have, like, a TF in the side lane. You've got, like, a Kingen in the side lane with the Yorick, who's able to win some of these 1v1s, and you would have, like, a 1-3-1 with the Caitlyn core.
If you had a mid that did a lot of damage, you could do the Baron and look for a turn. Perfect might be too far forward.
Yeah,
here.
very nice ward there on the disengage cone. He is still Zahin, though. They're going to chase him down big time here, all three.
Baron is on the cards here for KT at the same time.
Yeah, they can just start it. Nice pullback there at the last second as well. Now, Sponge is here, though, so the TP comes in, and KT say, you know what? We're not going to take any chances just yet.
So funny how Nongshim's hesitation ended up paying off. And then KT are the ones to pull the trigger on Baron after they lose Perfect, but they can't do it fast enough. And just like that, Nongshim have the gold lead. And the push here in mid to take out the inner. This Yorick is still somewhat unanswered with Crystalline here. Kingen's going to get one shovel whack and a lot of money in his wallet if he can touch that turret, but he does play passively. I thought that the better play than to try to collapse onto Perfect here, as this is, like you mentioned, a great ward.
Got him.
The best play I thought for Nongshim was to try to look for like a turn on Baron, try to force a teleport. Instead, they're just like, all right, well, looks like Perfect's not interested in leaving this lane. We'll go to him. And while they do this, they leave the jungler on the other side. And KT are just too timid to try to start the Baron, and to try to kill Sponge would just take way too long and mess up their whole setup. So they make the right call. BDD has a Leandries now. He does a lot of damage, and actually has a lot of long-term damage to cut through the Skarner too. But we're really looking for that IE for Fenrir. That's the key piece that's missing for KT's easy-to-execute, air quotes, comp that we have been talking about so much. He's got Glutinous Greaves. He is going to be such a huge threat once that item is complete, but it isn't yet. Almost there, he's got to be.
Yeah, and I still feel like he can just, again, build some items.
Stand in the right place and click on the enemies and press A and click on the ground.
You're playing Sivir, clear the waves, don't die, and just ricochet your way to victory and allow Perfect to carry you a little bit as well. I think that's fine. You're a new guy in the LCK. Let's just do that. You know, you don't have to put the whole team on your back. Just make sure you're in a relatively safe position, ricocheting. And
I'm not asking that much of you. If it were just in game 3 of a really pivotal game for us where we may or may not lose second place in a 26-minute game where it's a dead even game state, just, you know, kind of like stand in the right spot and kind of do that ricochet thing.
Just don't mess it up, okay?
Just kill everything and play perfectly and don't get gold carded or impaled or pushed into the wall by the Skarner or ghoulie walled or tempered faded.
Yeah.
It's okay, you got
a spell shield. Yeah, you're fine. Mikhail's
available. Shirelia's.
Flash?
By the way, they got Shirelia's on Karma, which is, you know, 2 crazy amounts of movement. They have On the Hunt. Imagine if it was Cloud Soul.
Yeah.
This team is zooming, and they should be able to get on top of their prio target, Diablo, if they can get in the position where they can look for a turn, which I think would be fairly simple if they felt confident to go on Baron and look for the said turn. Instead, they're kind of fighting around River here. Perfect is on the flank angle, doesn't have flash, but is going to find Kingen.
Yeah, he's just going to have to flash out of there, but the pullback once again. Flash on him from Effort, trying to make a play. And there comes the root as well. BD comes on over, and the whole squad is here. As in goes the Grim Deliverance, going to zone away Pleta. And the rest of the team just pulls the escape hatch and gets out there. But now we got a GP coming in. This is very aggressive, but you got the Pantheon able to get on in. Scout in a lot of trouble here. As Diablo trying to peel just as much as he possibly can. Sponge doing the same, but the knockup comes in into the Talia, the stun from the Pantheon, and even Sponge, they're able to get through. And that's all they had to do.
Finding a Yorick in the jungle, I guess, was all it needed to be for KT Rolster to start dismantling Nongshim and look for this Baron. And maybe your theory about, you know, just be Sivir and sit back and do the damage was correct.
I think he really did.
He got the kill. He killed him.
He did. Yeah, he did. I mean, he's doing a good job. He's doing his best. This is going to be the Baron. And KT, surely from here, from 28 minutes into the game, your Sivir got your IE.
With the Sivir with IE, with Baron and wave
stand in the right place.
Maybe this might just like push
the
the minions towards the enemy base.
Yeah.
Obviously, Valdez and I are joking a lot. Nongshim will get the 2nd dragon of the game for them, which will be our 5th dragon overall. It's a solo Chemtech dragon. Chemtech, in terms of the shields, kind of valuable here for both teams in terms of individual dragons. But again, not the big story here. Is Effort flashing to get this root. One of the big difference makers is Sponge wants to try to turn this. They utilize the Tempered Fate to try to buy space, almost like a Zhonya's here. But there's just no follow-up, and the Blast Cone retreat is on. And then Scout is left a little bit on his lonesome because it's like, well, I still have ult, by the way. I didn't use that to get into the last fight. He gets pushed away, and then Sponge ends up getting caught by the knock-up here. This follow-up from BDD, insane.
I was just watching the mini-map.
Yeah.
Seeing where Fenrir was at. He did get there at the end. And in live, we actually did see Nongshim try to go for a bit of a play onto Perfect, of all people, in the mid lane. They tried to collapse onto him, and he just kind of dashed away, and
now he's killing the turret.
That's all he had to do. I mean, they didn't even get his flash, so the collapse definitely didn't work with the TF and the Skarner. It's a little knockback.
Look at how easy it is to hit one person and then just chain that CC together. Even Effort's flash root is quite valuable in that sense. I guess they're going to zone here and maybe clear traps. That was kind of an interesting ult there from BDD. Not even going to clear those traps, too risky. Just going to keep pushing mid.
Yeah, looking for picks as well. I mean, Sponge is He's trying to set up position where maybe, you know, he can get someone in the wall and an impale, but he's too low.
For Fenris, so he's just making this cannon minion constantly hit the turret. And now a new wave's going to come through. Perfect did enough to where these minions will finish off the inhibitor. The second inhibitor turret is down, and now they can push through the traps. And now the siege is real. Kingen and crew are in trouble. Nongshim are in such dire straits here.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't really have much of a plan as they're trying to get BDD here on the trap. Maybe that's the play, and the headshot does come through for Diablo. Maybe going to be good, and now the impale on the Perfect, who's a little bit too deep. Going to get that res.
They're going to back out.
Yeah, and with the trap coming in, I mean, Grim Deliverance coming down. He's doing quite a lot, looking for some kills. 1v5, literally. Not quite able to get it done.
Perfect is good, guys. I just want to remind everyone of that. It's crazy, the trajectory of this player. Went from Rumble Udyr to Trick here in the LCK to world finalist to performances like this. I want to pick that is fringe meta, but it's kind of perfect meta. Just want to put it out
5-0 on this pick.
5-0, gets the res here, goes for the ult because he's going to die no matter what anyways. It's the impale first, and hits 4 members. Crazy, while the rest of his team retreats freely. There's no punish. And the game continues. Perfect, by the way, you know, a little bit unsurprising, even though there's a sipper in this game and it is 31 minutes in. It's like, nah, it's me. Lost our connection on the global broadcast to the feed for just a moment, but it's back.
We're back.
I said it out loud because I panicked.
Yeah, it was a little scary there, but it's okay. We're back in the action. And it's crazy that, you know, KT just took down 2 inhibitors. They got Baron, they got all these things. Still only about 2,000 gold ahead. You know, it's like, just feels like neither team has really been able to make a big gap in gold or difference.
It honestly, I mean, it's all the perfect gap. As Sponge, once again, 1 CC leads to the next as he misses the impale.
And not gonna pull anyone in there. The wall, once again, for zoning up on the top side. And it looks like KT just going for the old-fashioned take down every structure and win the game.
It's just the way KT have played this game is like, just don't mess it up. And Fender does a lot of damage, but we're not going to play through that. We're going to play through this massive Zahin instead. So the game looks a little bit weird, but if Fender just clears the waves and does his job that way, it's enough to open the whole base up. There's nothing left but 1 Nexus turret here for Nongshim Red Force.
KT now, can they put the nail in the coffin? As they get the knockback there, they have so much follow-up in terms of CC. Fenrir going to be hit by the Tempered Fate, but in goes Perfect. He says, get down, Mr. Fenrir, I'll protect you. As they take down Diablo, and that's all they had to do. And Perfect's just, he's 1v4 underneath the Nexus turret, doesn't care at all. As BDD with a double knockback, beautiful stuff. And that'll be, it looks like the end of this game, although some health bars getting low. The one person who is not dying at all is Perfect. As we still have this wave that is going to come in.
Yeah, I think there's no way Scout can get anything done here. He is just so dead.
Even in the dying gasps of this game, of Nongshim, it's like, yeah, KT just barely get across the line, but it's still a victory. A clean 2-1. Right? Okay, there's the... clean 2-1. Nothing to see here from KT Rolster as they take down Nongshim with their emergency sub.
Is it a perfect palm or is it an effort palm? It is so tough for
Vote for Fenrir.
I'm not voting for Fenrir.
Hashtag justice for Fenrir.
Hashtag they brought Fenrir to the Nexus, and then he died to the maiden in the final moments. It was like there. He's like, I survived through everything and got a giant shield, and then the maiden was just like, died. But it's okay, because he cleared a lot of minions this game, and that's what he needed to do. And you know what? I am going to vote for Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't care if anyone says the Nautilus game should have been worth it. I think it was, but I watched Perfect literally 1v9 this game. And that, for me, is enough.
Yeah. I think Perfect there trying to give energy to Fenrir, or maybe just the rest of the team. Not sure. But obviously saying, you know, it wasn't all about me. I had a good game, but shout out to the other guys as well. BDD says, I showed up. I did my job. I collected my paycheck.
Hey,
time to go home.
He did a lot.
No, he did. It's just his ceremony was funny. It's like, yeah, I'm on KT.
Currently trying to figure out how to put USB dongle back in mouse. Effort, I think, probably deserved a little bit more showboating after that series from him. I think it's, for me, it's between the two of them. I thought his Karma game was incredibly aggressive as well. He gave them no quarter. BD, very good Talia game. Give him that much. Cuz doing a lot of work to get perfect ahead to 1v9. Could be a split vote ultimately, but perfect stole my heart again with the Zahen. It's like perfect was on the challenger squad. I was finding a lot of success, but when he came to the LCK, we were like, he's out of his depth. You know, he's not here yet. He doesn't have a wide champion pool. I remember casting games of KT winning, but he was like 0-7 on Udyr. Or like, Udyr is like old news, by the way. I'm not sure if you should be playing this. And then he's since just come into his own. He's spent so much time grinding. He fixed a lot of his issues in terms of nerves that he was outspoken about, in terms of his form that would be affected by how nervous he was going into his series. And then he made it to a Worlds Finals. And then he shows up this season, and it's like, I literally am the 1v9 guy on Zahen. And he's done it now, what, 6 times?
Yeah, 6-0 on the Zahen.
I just... the amount of times Perfect has just been like, I'm killing the 80 carry, I'm going in on this pick, and gotten away with it, and found the angles. That's been great.
Yeah,
so I'm
Zahen,
inspired.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, if you're Zahen and you just get through the lane in a relatively even state, you can see what value it has in some of these team fights. Even this is funny, where it's like, yeah, 5 people, no problem. Let me try to get in there and get some kills. They all have to run into the fountain. This is the ending.
Okay, I want everyone to watch Fenrir.
Hey, but he got some ricochets off of the maiden.
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing well, okay?
실드 줄게 보성이.
오케이 끝.
야 우리 페페 도플. 끝낼만한데? 끝낼만하다. 나 실드 줄게.
They're like, I think we can end this.
풀은.
I want to see the reaction to the respawning Nexus turret. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
야 이거 타워 살아나긴 한다. 잘 깨자.
이거 하나 더 깨야 돼.
아 그래? 아래 거 살아.
They're like, oh, we have to kill another turret.
They called it out pretty early.
Yeah, Effort was like, to the turret, spawning.
Yeah.
Like 5-10 seconds at a time. So they knew, but
they maybe thought they had enough damage to kill anyways. They won the game, so it didn't matter. Perfect does 40,000 damage in a 33-46 game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really ask more of him. Yeah. He did kind of have a free lane and get 2 early ganks, but like, that's also playing around the guy that they have confidence in.
Yeah.
It's BD and Cuz saying, no, we're going to get you ahead because you've got this spot. Now, Effort is going to pick it up. # justice for supports. And he did have an excellent game,
The
especially
Nautilus
his Nautilus. His Nautilus was excellent.
The Nautilus game literally saved the series. Yeah. In game 3, it became a little bit more ambiguous, right? Because to save a series isn't enough to win the series, right? But he had a great Karma game as well. His flash to root Kingen was one of the moments that like snowballed the final moments there for Nongshan, where they lost really tons of control. They lost the Baron, right? It was just that one pick into the second pick. The attempt on the scout that leads to the death of the Skarner, that leads to the Baron, those dominoes that are falling. It's like flash Karma route, you know? Who would have thought?
Yeah, good stuff from Effort. We are going to hear from him on the stage for the first time this season. I'll hand it over to Deer for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Effort on the side of KT Roaster after getting a 2-1 victory. Congratulations! Thank you. That was not an easy match, but you stayed focused to pull a reverse sweep. And this is actually your first POM. How do you feel? It's been such a long time since my last POM, so it feels even more nervous than actually playing on stage. But, you know, it actually feels amazing. Yeah, so it seems like because aiming wasn't feeling well, you guys had a last-second player sub. And with the extra challenge the team faced, what did you discuss with Fenrir? Actually, I played with Fenrir a lot during spring in CL, and we actually connect really well and click very well. So I feel like it wasn't too hard to adapt. He did so well. Was he nervous at all? Actually, in game 1, his mouse sensitivity apparently wasn't right. So, you know, we were supposed to get that fixed before going into the game, but we ended up starting it. But despite that, he played so well. Game 1 was a quick 23-minute loss. But the further you guys got into the series, the better you played. So what was the feedback that made that happen? As for game 1, I felt like there are a lot of things that didn't go well in the early game bot. So from the draft, we wanted to fix a lot of things in bot lane and just make sure that it actually works really well with our team. And so after seeing the opponent pick Yunar and Lulu in game 2, you guys went for Misfortune and Nautilus. So what was your approach here? And I just really wanted to go for a lot of ganks with the Nautilus and just try to be more bold with engages. And in game 3, you guys had a nice lead from early to mid game, but there are a few accidents. So, what was your plan to make up for those misplays? The enemy had to use a lot of the map with the TF and the Bard. And that was how their comp was supposed to work. So there were some accidents, but we wanted to focus on the objectives and try to fight around that. So we knew that we would be able to win the 5v5. So how is Aiming feeling? He's actually back from the hospital. He's feeling a lot better than before. So please don't be too concerned. And since you returned to the LCK effort, playing from the rounds 1 to 2, I'm sure there are a lot of takeaways. So what are you most happy about? You know, there are a lot of times when I feel a little anxious playing alongside such talented players, but I feel like I have a little bit of pride and I'm proud of myself for really keeping my place here and just, you know, being able to continue to play. And KT's next opponent is Genji, who you defeated in round 1. So what is your mindset? Yeah, we did defeat them in round 1, but Genji is doing so well. They're such a formidable team, and you know their bot lane is doing really well, and I think we need a lot of practice around bot lane as well. And lastly, would you like to say anything, any word of thanks to your fans? You know, lately there are a lot of matches, and you know sometimes we may lose, sometimes we may win. But thank you so much for always supporting us despite how it ends up. So I hope that we can be the ones who can smile at the very end. Thank you. And that is all from Effort, and back to the space. Thank you.